Hello and welcome to just the second episode of Pat's Latest. I'm your host, Mike Gambardella, and we've got even more for you to get into with the latest happenings out of Foxborough. We'll get quickly into it, and it's again the coaching carousel that continues to spin, not just in the NFL, the latest one happening with Ben Johnson, initially actually tabbed as a potential with the Patriots before they went full gear to Mike Vrabel, has gone to the Chicago Bears. But for the Patriots themselves have also made a decision on a coordinator, not the offensive or defensive one that we maybe thought of, but on the special teams side of it. Mike Vrabel has decided to retain Jeremy Springer, and Jeremy had a fantastic season. His unit actually ranked number 2 in the NFL in PFF grade, and it shouldn't come as a shock, not just because of the proficiency that they've shown on the field this past year, but also that you have an all-pro in Schooler that makes it a lot easier for that job to be had and taken to a higher level. But also there is a Tennessee Titans tie in there for Mike Vrabel, as Tom Quinn with number 2 for Jeremy Springer was also with the Titans. So not a real shock that actually came across, considering several factors there, but also that it checks one of the boxes and they're able to move on to the next one. And obviously the defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator spots will be big ones for Mike Vrabel to get into. And Terrell Williams, another Tennessee Titans tie-in, will continue to be a name that we hear a lot of on the defensive side of the ball. But the offensive side, we've heard a lot about Josh McDaniels, but one that now is potentially available after the Rams just lost to the Eagles in the divisional round is Mike LaFleur. A student under Sean McVay, and someone who could come in and work very well with Drake May. The caveat being that whatever Mike LaFleur does next year, and whether it is with the Rams or with another team, he is a very good coach and more than likely will be a serious head coaching candidate for the 26 cycle as well. So something that Mike Vrabel will have to take a look at is it worth looking at someone like Mike LaFleur, who could be a fantastic addition to the coaching staff and for Drake May, but potentially could see a little bit more turnaround that comes into that coaching staff. So a lot of things up in the air still. One of the coordinators, Jeremy Springer, stays on, but more questions up in the air for what Mike Vrabel will do for his coaching staff in 2025. As we quickly look over as well and taking a look to see where the roster will settle in. And we need to get through the Super Bowl, so into early February before free agency starts. But Robert Kraft, in a report from Albert Breer earlier today, is truly behind Mike Vrabel as well as Elliott Wolf in the capacity of having those two run the ship for the Patriots and make the decisions on who's going to be on this roster when the new year rolls around. And there is plenty of space in that cupboard for Mike Vrabel and Elliott Wolf, and decisions were made differently this past year for one reason or another, whether that was Elliott Wolf, whether that's Robert Kraft, whether that's Gerard Mayo, a combination, what was important, what's coming down from the coordinators and everything else. It will be different here in 2025. Mike Vrabel will have a strong hand in where the team looks at retaining players, extending players, cutting players, how far they go into free agency, and how they start the scouting process as it pertains to the draft as well. So a lot of moving pieces. Do not be surprised to see a lot of new names, new faces, new jerseys running around on that training camp field when we get there, but it will be both Mike Vrabel and Elliott Wolf as a holdover, as Robert Kraft has faith in what they've been able to do. He's liked the scouting process that Elliott Wolf has developed and put forth, and he wants to see that continue now with Mike Vrabel added into the mix, being able to really say, this is the type of player we're looking for, this is the type of impact, this is the culture fit, this is the scheme that we want to run. A lot of different things are going to take place, and that will, at this juncture, now be put by the two men in the head coach as well as the VP of operations in Elliott Wolf. Again, the general manager title not quite there yet. That's never been really a thing ever since the Belichick days, but a step to say who makes the final decision on these decisions be a little bit more clear for the Patriots in 2025 as a two-man team continues to roll forward. And as those two men really start to look at, hey, how can we change the course of where this team went, they start to look at, all right, what team did it better than anybody else? And now it is very obvious that it is the Washington Commanders who will now advance to the NFC Championship game and play against division rival Philadelphia Eagles. But a team that no one saw coming. Absolutely not. One of the biggest shocks, and Dan Quinn, I think, had a lot of the Coach of the Year voting taking place later than earlier and people not really locking in their hands. Now Dan Quinn becomes that guy. To get a team with zero expectations to where they're at now is simply phenomenal. And there are a lot of similarities when we take a look at it. You have a defensive head coach, a retread, if you will, someone who's had head coaching experience previously. And Mike Vrabel fits that mold. Defensive culture builder, will come in and do a lot for the program right up front and sets the same framework that the Commanders did and potentially what the Patriots will do now. So if you're able to say, okay, you've got the culture fit, the defensive guy for your head coach, you have a rising young quarterback. Now, Jaden Daniels is doing things that are unprecedented. He will be the first ever rookie quarterback to be starting a conference championship game. Obviously, Drake May, year 2, did not start every game, has acquitted himself very well in the early going, but fits that mold, fits that roadmap to say, hey, this is a guy that has all the tools in the toolbox. And now if you fix the line in front of him, fix the pass catching options, outside of the tight end room, just limited production from wide receivers across the board. So we talked about in the last episode, whether that's free agency with T. Higgins, Chris Godwin, Hollywood Brown, someone else, as well as addressing that in the draft. You're going to have that top pick. Is it Tet McMillan? Is it Travis Hunter? Is it trading back? The offensive line also needs to be addressed. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed, but now there is that roadmap. The other part of that is addressing free agency and that balance of young players and seasoned veterans. You need to build out that locker room. And the Commanders did that, whether it was Zach Ertz or Austin Eckler or Bobby Wagner, not only culture fits and guys who had a strong career already with major accolades coming in as well. But there was questions at the time. People panned the decision to go after aging veterans, as they could call them. But you cannot reiterate enough that is what made the difference for this Commanders team, is that you put a position of less pressure on your quarterback, let him go out and play because everything else is taken care of. So as we flip from 24 to 25, we'll get through our Super Bowl champion in New Orleans. That's the roadmap that the Patriots need to take and follow what the Commanders have done. And there's a lot of new ownership for that Commanders unit as well. Robert Kraft could do himself a favor and take a page out of that book to say, hey, this is where we could potentially go as well. As you look forward, we can also look back a little bit. Bill Belichick continues to be in the news. He is with UNC. He is not in the NFL this year. And there's a lot of questions around that. We're in the head coaching cycle. There's dominoes starting to fall, but a lot of jobs still open. Jacksonville's still there. The other one is the Las Vegas Raiders are still there. They have a tie to Tom Brady. There are a lot of media pundits talking about, where's this fall? Is this a fit? Could this actually work? The other piece of this is Bill Belichick, while had his press conference with UNC, put Mike Lombardi as his GM, he's signing players, he's got his girlfriend and everything down in Carolina. There's rumors that he hasn't signed his contract, and that was a big piece of the buyout aspect. Could he be on the hook for $10 million? Would a team actually go and pay that if you thought he could make the difference and actually win you a Super Bowl? And at the end of the day in the NFL, if you have the opportunity to do things that are going to win your team a Super Bowl, you spend to make that happen. You make the deals, right? If you're the Rams, you go out and get Matthew Stafford because it results in those things. If you have the opportunity to continue to build your roster out the way that the Chiefs have, you do those things. If the Raiders have a chance to change their fortunes and go after someone like Bill Belichick and you want to give him the reins again, because that's what Belichick is looking for. He didn't want to play the game. He didn't want to say, I will just be a coach and I will get out of the roster building side. He wants to do that, and that's what UNC affords him to do, and that is a great opportunity, and there's a lot of family ties there, but it's not the NFL. It's not the Lombardi Trophy. It's not the all-time wins record. It's not the greatest coach of all time. And that's not what he's doing. He's doing something completely different. So if at the end of the day the question is Bill Belichick really done with the NFL, right now I would have to say no. And until we see that contract is officially signed, I don't think you can 100% say it is no for this year. I know that's not what UNC fans want to hear this year, because there's no doubt in my mind that if he stays with the Tar Heels, he could turn that program around, turn them into an ACC champion, and have them into this playoff, and fighting for a national championship. But at the end of the day, I would say Bill Belichick is a football guy. Where that falls, we know he's also a lacrosse guy. So he's a sports guy. He wants to win. He wants to be in control. He wants to do it as a head coach, and that's what he will do. So is he done with the NFL? I don't think so. Is he done with it for this year? We will see. We will see where a lot of things go in the coming weeks. We thank you for joining us here on Pat's Latest. We've got more news coming at you every single day. So be sure to like, subscribe, set notifications on for the channel, and stay with us as we bring you the very latest from the New England Patriots. Fight on, Foxborough.